Okay, the recording has started. Terry, are you able to unmute? Do I need to unmute you?
I believe I'm unmuted.
Yep, I hear you. Okay. All right, so thank you everyone for joining our final Tech and Career Talk of 2020. It's definitely been a great year with some amazing speakers and topics, and I thank you all for being a part of the journey this year. So stay tuned for what we have coming up in 2021, and we're hoping to take this bigger and better. But if you're not familiar with BDPA Black Data Processing Associates, established in 1975 as an organization to teach young people computer skills and programming skills to build up our talent pipeline for the technology industry, but also as a forum for technology professionals to continue to grow and develop in their careers and network with other individuals doing the same. So we are glad to have today's national president for BDPA, Terry Morris, with us, who recently took on a new role with racial equity and inclusion and diversity with Eli Lilly. So congrats to him. I'll let him tell us a little bit more about that. But thank you all for joining. The lines are muted right now. I will unmute them later as we get into some open dialogue and conversation. But today's whole theme is around 2020, looking back at what we've experienced this year and mapping that into what that means for us in technology and specifically in BDPA. So Terry, thanks for joining us today. Always good to hear from you. How are you doing?
I am well, thank you, sir, and have certainly appreciated your leadership with this platform. I think we envision an experience for our community that was vibrant and had the ability to drive an engaging conversation about tech and about careers. And thank you for driving this platform. And people vote with their feet or with their fingers in the current design. And so certainly have appreciated your leadership and really hold a high standard for the sets of experiences that we've created this year and look forward to what's to come.
Definitely appreciate the opportunity. Has been great. Well, let's get into it so we can open up the lines and have some pretty open conversation with everyone on the call. So today we want to talk about 2020, looking back on the year, what this has meant for us, what are some of the changes and things that have come out of this, the opportunities that have come out of everything that we've seen this year. So I think it's just a good starting point from you, Terry, if you could just give us one word to convey your perspective on 2020, and then tell us why you chose that word.
And you sent me this question in advance, and so I should have an answer for it. But I have been contemplating on that one word a bit, and the one that I think summarizes it best is momentum. 2020 for people of color particularly has been an evolving experience, is how I've seen it played out in my world and in the worlds of those who are very close to me. Whether it be with the heightened awareness that of social justice and has brought about, or the health inequities that COVID-19 has brought about. It's been quite an emotional journey this year. But the reason why momentum is what resonates with me most is because of the two things I just talked about. I've seen companies and organizations, leadership, moreover, stepping into the fray to suggest that status quo is no longer acceptable. And so first, companies and organizations and leaders have made that declaration, and now they are pivoting toward action. And I believe the action that is driven from a lot of the big things that have happened this year are in the right direction. A big part of our personal play is to decide, what do you do with the momentum that is happening around us? Will you jump into the fray, or will you stay apprehensive and or hesitant to engage because you don't believe it's real? I'd offer that, and even the seats that I sit in multiple worlds, it is real, and it isn't just an emotional kind of roller coaster, but rather an imperative. But we've had emotional experiences before. So a part of the arc of groups like ours and communities like we represent is to believe enough that it's real, to lean in and partner into that momentum and help direct that momentum into solutions that are meaningful. So hopefully we get into a bit of that yet today.
Yeah, we definitely will. And I like that you chose the word momentum. It's definitely one that comes to mind for me when I think about 2020. As I go into this next question, hopefully this doesn't throw off the flow of it, but I just felt like saying it. So I wanted to get into some of these, bigger events that happened throughout the year. And I see a lot of similarities even between us, as being Black men, being fathers. You're a husband. I'm soon to be a husband. You're a senior leader in corporate America. There's been several events and moments that have been impactful that kind of shaped that momentum you spoke of. If I personally, it almost seems like it wasn't this year, but the big moment that happened to me this year was Kobe passing. It happened on my daughter's birthday while we went, for her birthday. So sitting there, that was like a very big eye opener to start the year. That was January 26th. So it was sad. We lost one of our big icons in the community. But it also, for me, as a young man who grew up, watching him play and, being a girl dad myself, it kind of put some momentum behind me. It sparked some creativity this year that I hadn't had in the past. So that was, one of those big moments for me. For you, what were some of those big events and moments that were the most impactful to you this year?
Yeah, no doubt, Kobe's passing was very reflective for many, and it cut across the color lines for sure, and a bit of irony for me. And my wife and I were in California, went there for vacation back in November, and I could envision the places, the place where the accident occurred, just with some of the travels that we did. So I totally get that. Another event, and it was a bit more personal. I was attacked on a bike trail here in Indianapolis by a white male. And all the indications are that it was at least had hateful motives. Since he was not apprehended, we don't have all the data to validate whether it was a hate crime or not, but it was at least hateful. And so that kind of pulled me into some, a lot of recovery with a significant head concussion and some shoulder problems and knees and all that jazz. Some of it may be tied to being over 40. Things don't heal as fast as they did when I was 20, but it did bring me to a reflection. One data point that I've had to manage my energy and emotion, even haven't had that experience back in June, that I found out later that a Lily colleague who happens to be a physician, she rushed to my aid and held my neck while the physicians or the ER the emergency personnel came to take me to the hospital. And now with my new job, it just so happens that I'm working with this physician on clinical trial diversity, increasing clinical trial diversity at Eli Lilly and Company. So, I count it a blessing to, one, have had great professional help that rushed to to support me during a period where I couldn't to help myself. But I also think it was a bit destined for me to go to a place of less familiarity, to get into the game of actually helping to create more experiences and better outcomes for people of color in this window where there's heightened awareness and positive momentum for change. So that event was kind of one of the key things that I would highlight. I will say, fortunately, personally, it doesn't overshadow the fact that my wife and I had our second child, which was our son Jackson. So he still gets the banner for this year.
Can definitely relate to that. As my second daughter was born on Cinco de Mayo. I think she's about a month apart from Jackson, if I remember correctly. So you kind of spoke on how you responded to those things. Being attacked by mail in a year where racial injustice and things of that nature have been so highlighted, it almost sets you up for this new position you have, leading racial equity, diversity, and inclusion, with Lilly. I guess that takes me into, if we look towards the technology industry, being that this is BDPA, we look at, events like what happened to you, which was on a micro level, but reflective of things that have happened at a larger level. We think about George Floyd being murdered on camera in front of the world, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery. Then we also look at COVID-19, what that's meant for the world this year. We just talked about Kobe passing away. We had a big election this year. How have these events of the year affected the technology industry specifically?
Well, I was watching CNBC this morning, and they were talking about the IPOs for DoorDash and I forget the other one that I think were yesterday, and these the leaders, making billions of dollars on those IPOs, and that's squarely tech driven. Much of the S&P right now is driven by tech at this point, and so no doubt the need for more technologists is only going to grow. There's a super positive trajectory. So if we talk about the momentums that are happening in the macrocosm of the world, you got tech growing like crazy, and you have the need for diverse talents and entries growing in parallel. This is a perfect time for technologists to lean into their possible. And I'll acknowledge that I actually pinged a new mentee of mine. I sent him this link and encouraged him to get on. I won't call him out to see if he joined or not. But I have found myself, really trying to fill in the spaces of support for people to take the governor off their possibilities, because this year has highlighted many of the byproducts of systemic racism, which and I equate to a governor of progress for some people of color, for many people of color, I should say. And so I've been trying to use my influence and the opportunities I have to drive change and to open the minds of people in tech to take advantage of this unique space and time that we're in. We're in a space and time where the market needs diverse talent. I mean, if you look at all the trends, all of the census trends and the trajectories of the ethnic makeup of the U.S. Here over the coming decades, the minority will be the majority. And so companies recognize that you have to have leaders and contributors in your world solving problems who think like your customers now, or you will be left behind. And so I'm trying to encourage our community of young people and working professionals and or senior leaders to lean in to your possible. Take the time to be the best version of you can be. Whether you're a mid-career professional and you've been looked past, over, and beyond for a long time, and so you believe that the system is working against you, I'd offer that you find a path to objectivity and find a way to have a personal reset. That best version of yourself that you may or may not have always you may not have been willing to pull out because the system you felt didn't appreciate. Find the reset button if that be the case. For those who are operating at the highest degree of your potential, but you don't feel that it's valued in your system, call it out. Help make your organization better by not allowing the high level of productivity that you're representing to not be recognized, because you got to hold organizations accountable for what they have declared is the new expectation that they're driving in their world. Sorry, Devin, I think I've taken longer than what was desired for this question, but I do think in this unique window that it should not be wasted. I think of my cousin at Microsoft. I'm strongly encouraging him to be the best version of him that he can be, because I know what's in him, and he owes this space and time the best version of him possible to leave his mark in the spaces that he plays. So anyway, I'll leave it there.
No, I think that was good and powerful. I've noted down, you said lean into your possible and find a path to objectivity. Taking what we're thinking in our minds to maybe be far-fetched or beyond the realm of possibility and making it our reality. I think that's powerful. It kind of ties into where I kind of want to shift gears a little bit here. We were talking about George Floyd earlier, and a lot of similar occurrences that have happened, or at least light has been brought to throughout the year. From your perspective, what does racial equity look like, and how do we galvanize the energy and the momentum that's going on right now to make that a reality?
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And just to give some context on the new job I took December 1, so I'm still learning the ropes of this new area. I'm an advisor at Eli Lilly and Company for racial justice. And just to connect it back to my experience this summer, had I not had the experience that I had, I probably would not have leaned into this new world and new set of opportunities to drive change. My guess is I would have stayed in IT and continued to run the plays there. Because of the more extreme experience that I had, I was willing to be more aggressive with driving change. And the option that came to me to go and help a company who has done great work and is willing to be even that much more aggressive with the change that it sees happen, and the ability to help drive that energy, I couldn't pass up. And one of the things I'm finding is that that everyone knows that systemic race. I won't say there's a broader awareness that systemic racism is a thing now, and there's a lot of energy on multiple fronts to try to address some of the systemic woes of the past, whether it be in health equity, wealth or crime and in other dimensions. But when you go to wealth, it gets to good jobs. And some of you may have seen an announcement yesterday, I believe it was, where Ken Frazier, the CEO of Merck, has worked with other companies, 30-plus companies, including Eli Lilly and Company, to launch a new initiative that is called 110, and that suggests that group of leaders and companies will enable good jobs, 1 million, at least 1 million good jobs for blacks over 10 years as the primary target. But it is a belief that the rising tide will lift all boats through this initiative. So it isn't intended to be an exclusionary notion, but start with a set of outcomes that would target a community in it. But many of the structural barriers to progress, you get those fixed, it will actually help others as well. So it is encouraging that companies are seeing the deficits in their structure and the opportunity for change, that changing those can resolve. And I'm hopeful that these efforts and many others will begin to normalize. I mean, racial justice, racial equity is about leveling the playing field. It is not intended to disadvantage anybody, or more specifically, not intended to disadvantage the majority, but rather normalize the platform by which equal opportunities are for all. And sometimes you have to highlight or reset a trajectory for a people to get to a normalized set of experiences. So we're in. I mean, this is a while the systemic racism, I'd offer, has been around for 400 years. This intense notion of racial justice, racial equity is a newer thing. And so we're all trying to use this momentum that has been generated in this unique space and time to drive change now. There's a strong desire to see progress now, but also enables sustainable structures that would ensure that this is not just a moment, but a movement.
That's a good segue into what I want to get into here, these last 2 or 3 questions before we open up the lines. Let's focus specifically on BDPA for a little bit. How is BDPA responding to all that has unfolded this year? When we talk about racial equity, we talk about tech companies and IPOs being the forefront of the stock index right now. All that's going on this year, how's BDPA responding?
Thank you for the question. BDPA, we are fortunate this year to celebrate 45 years. Mr. David Wembley, who's no longer with us, and Earl Pace, who is, back in 1975, they looked around and saw no one else like themselves in this world of data and data processing, and said, hey, look, we need to one, support each other, but also find ways to create platforms to help those to come, and hence BDPA evolved. BDPA, we're not focused on data processing as such. We are a group that enables digital thought leadership. It's a platform of experiences to help grow and develop the future of tech, while also supporting those who are technologists of today. And so we have acknowledged that from a pipeline perspective, we really need to be more aggressive with supporting our students at our institutions. We have prioritized the historically black colleges because there is the highest concentration of black technology seeking students. And so we are actually, early this morning, I was on the phone with the chair of Hampton University, Dr. G. Muhammad, and talking about our college chapter at Hampton. Here this morning, I was responding to an alum from Jarvis Christian College who wants to start a BDPA college chapter there. And Florida A&M, I won't say FAMU is the best HBCU in the world because that would be showing bias here in public. So I won't say that explicitly. But FAMU does have a college chapter and is generating energy and support for the students there. So the college chapters is one of the things that we are going after in this space and time because we recognize that students need that support. And quite frankly, it's the energy that organizations, legacy organizations like ours, need to drive more sustainability. We're also looking back at our youth programs. We've had our high school computer programming competition for 3 decades. But we are looking at ways to standardize our offering, to lighten some of the load with our local chapters. We're pulling some of that to the center and providing instruction from the center, and then allowing the chapters to support those efforts. We are talking about a center for diversity in data science. That no question that there is more interest in having more people of color helping curate data and helping to root out bias in data. We need talent that's in those worlds to help drive some of those possibilities. The other that I'll mention today is entrepreneurship. One of the things that this unique period is surfacing is the opportunity for more Black entrepreneurs and more Black companies to be benefactors of the supplier diversity initiatives that most companies, that particularly those who do business with the federal government, but beyond. The expectation is that that customers have are that there is a diverse set of companies providing services for large entities. So we are looking at ways to accelerate the support that we've been providing for our entrepreneurs. Last year, with the partnership of Perry Carter, who runs our DC region efforts, we had a partnership with the Air Force to be this incubator of exposure to the Air Force's $97 million small business transfer program. We're going to be looking at how do we expand the support for the entrepreneurs. And last year we also had, early this year I should say, we had a Startup Atlanta present at our national conference. We anticipate doubling down and finding more creative ways to encourage the more diversity in entrepreneurship, which translates into more to more Black leadership in tech. And the last thing I'll say, even just this platform, our Tech and Career Forum, we partnered with Blue Granite, and they will be helping to create experiences for our community to have more exposure to data science and analytics, and they're based out of Michigan. If I recall correctly, I think they are. But they provide services beyond that, and they have leaned into BDPA as a way to help give back. And I think in the first quarter of next year, they'll be providing technical experiences to deepen understanding of analytics. So anyway, we have streams on multiple fronts that are intended to help accelerate exposure and access to digital choices that are in front of us. This is a window where we lean in, not back.
Sounds like we have a lot of great things coming forward from BDPA. I think the last question I'll ask before we open it up to the group here, I think we can expect to see some things differently within BDPA as well as society going forward. I guess, how do you think the world looks differently going forward from here, as well as how do we take advantage of this momentum and the changes that are in motion as a result of all we've seen this year?
Yeah, man, you're good at asking big questions. I don't know if I'm adequately prepared to answer that. I will say that, and I'll go to one of my favorite quotes. I've been pulling it forward. And sorry, we're in an apartment because we're building another house, and my 9-month-old son is not too many rooms away from me. So let's just say he's a little excited at the moment. He must be getting some food. But there's a book called The Four, The Hidden DNA of Facebook, Google, Apple, and Amazon. I think they wrapped that book up. Scott Galloway was the author back in December of 2017. So it's a little dated given how fast tech moves, but there's still a lot of richness in the messaging and the content that he was conveying. Toward the latter end of that book, he gets into what he calls the accelerants to the possible. And he talks about people being the accelerant. And he suggested that there was no better time to be exceptional or a worse time to be average. There's no better time to be exceptional or a worse time to be average. And I'd offer that for our community, that yet holds true. And maybe during this period, uniquely holds true for given the clear consciousness that companies are placing on addressing the systemic woes of the past as it relates to racism. So, I go back to some of my previous comments that this is the time to lean into your possible, to trust your instincts, to go for passion, to make passion plays here. Hold your leaders accountable for getting you great experiences so that it translates to great outcomes, so it translates to more promotions, more dollars, so that you can give back to your communities and serve in more aggressive ways. So that's what I'd offer. Be exceptional. Don't be average.
Thank you, Terry. A lot of power in that. Thank you for all that you shared here. At this time, I'm going to unmute the lines. If you don't wish to speak, I ask you to mute yourself so we don't interrupt those who do want to speak. So let me unmute here. Please mute your line.
Make sure.
All right. All right, so please mute your lines if you're not speaking. At this time, we'll open the floor for questions. I see one in the chat, so I'll start there. So this is from Tico. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. And if you wish to ask your question yourself, you can. Otherwise, the question is if you have one. The question is, if you have one, what are your thoughts on the Facebook antitrust argument from state AGs?
I'll be transparent to suggest that I have not deeply looked at the claim that the 40 or so attorney generals are making against Facebook. And then the antitrust monopoly question is how I understand that being pursued. I will say, maybe more broadly, that we are in an interesting period where there is a desire for to not have any one entity drive the narrative, and there are some, and a significant some, that Facebook's influence on the social media landscape is an outsized influence. I have not necessarily declared personally that I share that belief, but I certainly recognize the question. And I think more broadly for organizations like us, and we need to be exploring ways in platforms to create experiences that people of color can contribute. As a matter of fact, I was talking recently to an individual about how do I get access to know where people of color services are. Those are experiences that aren't that platforms aren't necessarily readily surfacing. So I guess I'll offer again, just to put a pin on that. We should be in the fray of these big questions. I have not made a specific personal commitment as to what side of that argument of whether Facebook is displaying monopolistic tendencies or not, but it's a real question, and ultimately the question is around impact for our community, and we need to be in the question.
I think I saw LaDon Lindsley wanted to ask a question.
Yes, that is me. Hello, my name is LaDon, and I am actually entering into the field of business intelligence and aspiring enterprise architect. So my question to you is that there's not many people readily available that look like us in this space. How do we begin finding those people in a structured setting, like a setting like you all provide? And for those of us who are trying to get experience in that space, how do we begin to find projects where we can apply a lot of the things that we're learning?
No, very good question. Thank you. And I believe Ryan Wade is on the call. He was earlier. He's not still there. Ryan's a friend of mine. We actually met, I think, at a coffee shop or at a gym. I think it was maybe at a gym, and he was lifting, and I was watching him lift. Anyway, he just wrote a book on advanced analytics. I'd encourage you to, I don't have the exact title. If someone is here who has it, it'd be great to post that. It'd be a great resource for someone like yourself. And that's really one of the things that we're planning to heighten the awareness of in early next year with our partnership with Blue Granite. So I would say lean into the experience that Blue Granite will create. With all that, our BDPA is actively considering ways to create a forum for those aspiring data scientists and those who want to deepen their exposure with analytics. So I say stay tuned for that. The last three conferences we've had, one in New Orleans, one in Atlanta, and then in the cloud last year, we had experiences specifically around data science and analytics. I 100% believe that we will have more of them yet this summer at our national conference, in addition to what we'll be doing in Q1. So I say stay tuned. You will hear more about how we deepen experiences and create more of a community for professionals like yourself.
Thanks for doing it. And Ryan is in here, and I think I saw Lamont drop his LinkedIn link in the chat. So
thank you.
Definitely connect with Ryan.
Yes, and that's correct. Well, probably correct what you just said, Terry. Yes, it was at the gym. It was actually two BDPA members there on that particular day. You and I forget how to pronounce the former president. What's his name? How you pronounce it?
Delano Robinson.
Yeah, Delano. Yeah. Both of you all were there, and it was interesting how we met because when you said that you were IT, I mentioned BDPA, and then at that time you were the chapter president of the Indianapolis chapter, and you told me that you was the president. So that started the friendship between you and I.
Indeed.
And, ever since then, it's been a pleasure being part of the organization.
Well, thank you, Ryan. We certainly have valued your contribution, and I have your book. I'm probably going to look at it and give it to someone who will be able to apply the deeper data analytics skills, because I think I'm a bit far removed. No one wants me to touch code anymore for some reason.
Okay. Well, this is the last I'm going to take up with this call. Offline, I need your address because I mentioned you in the book as one of the mentors that I have. You've been a mentor to me, via your example. So I appreciate that a lot, and I'll send you a signed copy. So offline, I'll get your address.
Very kind of you, sir. See, that's why I like Ryan. Y'all go buy his book now. Y'all buy his book.
All right. We have a question in the chat from Grady Faulkner. And Grady, if you're on and would like to ask your question, feel free. Otherwise, I'll read it for you.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate this. I'm really looking to work more with youth. I'm, in my career, I'm kind of moving that way, and I've always interacted with them. And we've had. I was wondering what the organization's experience is with apps and coding. Because I know we have a program here in my town run by an organization that's dealing with single parents taking advantage of learning coding and coding from home while they're taking care of the kids. So I was just wondering about that with the organization and the possibility of maybe me trying to get a chapter started here again, because we used to have one years ago.
And Grady, where are you located?
Excuse me?
Where are you located?
Oh, I'm located in Middletown, Connecticut. I'm right between Hartford and Seattle.
Okay, very good. We do have some energy in Hartford that is being recreated. So if you could send me a message, I'm at terry.morris@bdpa.org, and let me get you connected to the leaders who are restarting Hartford's. And I don't know how close Hartford is to where you're considering, but you said I'm sorry?
Hey, this is Alex from BDPA Hartford. I'm on the call now, so we could just go straight to the skip the sender. Just hit up info@bdpahartford.org, or just hit me up, Alex Bogle, and we can talk. Yeah, we're getting it all set back up. We're excited.
Gotcha. That's good.
Look, we're solving problems real time.
Right? What it's about.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks, Alex, and thank you, Grady, for that question. All right. So Grady had a question. We had a question from Cliff Samuels. Cliff, are you still on?
Yeah. It was just whether you guys get involved in apps and coding and stuff like that, or that's minor for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think Alex placed his email address there. So 100%, we have been supporting coding programs in our local cities for a number of decades. So yes, we do that for sure.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Cliff Samuels?
Yep, I'm here.
All right. You got it.
Well, my question is more of what is BDPA National's plan to take advantage of the new diversity this Biden administration is bringing in? That how can BDPA become a technology resource and a sage to President Biden and his initiatives? That I believe we kind of missed our opportunity during the Obama administration, and now I think it's our time to really grab a hold of this now. So are there plans in National to actually have this happen?
Yeah, Cliff, thanks for the question. And, there are no shortage of places for us to have influence and value. One of the areas, and I think Perry Carter is still on the call, that he has been challenging us to do is to find ways to bring about intersectionality between our efforts and those of the government. And so last year it translated into the partnership with the Air Force STTR efforts and inviting them to come and share more about the grant opportunities or contract opportunities with the Air Force. We're looking to expand that to other branches of the military with the Navy and the Army. in the coming year. A lot of that is focused on entrepreneurship, but we're also looking at ways to partner with them on their interest to increase the pipeline of diverse talent. We not last year, but the previous year, received a grant from the National Science Foundation in their Includes area, which was intended to help understand how might we increase more diverse participation in computing-related majors. And so we are still deepening our our engagement on both of those fronts, on the pipeline and in the entrepreneurship arena. I think Lamont Hatcher was who posted that message earlier about Ryan, and Lamont may not know this or not, but he's going to be helping us with our entrepreneurship endeavor. So long as he answers my phone call, and he tends to answer, so that's not a problem. But those are the two areas that we are planning to focus some of our early energy on. No doubt, the Biden administration on their transition team website has been very clear. Of the 4 areas of priority, racial equity is one of the 4 that they have declared. And so we want to play our role in helping to position our community of technology professionals to take advantage of the energy and the priority that this administration has positioned, and so hold us accountable for that, for sure.
Thanks for that question, Cliff. Lawanzer, I see you have a question in the chat. You want to ask yours?
Okay, I had to unmute myself. How you doing, President Morris? Real good. You know, this year we've seen a number of competing IT network organizations such as Black is Tech, Afro Cloud, and I have been attending in some of those interactive conferences. When have we ever considered looking into using similar type of platforms that are dynamic and interactive, that engage participants in trying to disseminate information, news, and tech talks about the BDPA organization in some of their summits and conferences?
You know, great question. Thank you for that. You know, it's a great question, but no easy answer because, you know, there tends to be, for organizations like ours who have that are volunteer-based, it's a lot of good people trying to do a lot of good work, but when the energy is needed to be more strategic, it has to be prioritized. And so we spend a lot of time prioritizing energy toward the outcomes of BDPA squarely, and I know my peers tend to focus a lot of energy directly in it, and less energy goes toward how might we be stronger together. And that's been one of the critiques that I'd offer of my tenure. However, the last several years that we've had experiences, we have sought to leverage our investment in gatherings to help other organizations that would benefit from that. For example, a few years ago in New Orleans, we partnered with the National Society for Blacks in Computing, and they co-hosted their conference with BDPA. In Atlanta, we co-hosted with BWISE, Black Women in Information and Science and Engineering. And last year, we didn't get to go as deeply given the virtual evolution. So we're actively talking to other Black tech organizations about ways to partner together to achieve a shared mission. One of our key partners is SMF, the IT Senior Management Forum. And we by all means will continue to partner together, and we'll double down on ways to engage in outcomes yet together. And we're always looking for ways to do that. It's just a bit of energy management that tends to surface. There's just limits on how many things we can do as a volunteer shop. We look forward to when we're not primarily a volunteer shop, but we have a great group of folks doing this during the 8 to 5 versus the 5 to 8.
So I said so you're saying that there has been in the past attempt to put in place some sort of feasibility study, essentially, in looking at platforms that we've seen some of our competitor IT organization use for the purposes of outreach, of engaging. These summits and conferences are generally 2 or 3 day events that certainly magnetize and engage their attendees and members. Is it foregone conclusion to say that the organization within itself could not make a viable attempt to consider some of those type of ventures?
No, I am very open and have had a number of conversations of possibilities. So I say that, if you are aware of things that we might consider, I think that we talked about having getting together in January. We can talk about this further in that dialogue. We have a vice president of strategy who is accountable for partnerships. His name is Tim Brown. He's out of New Jersey. By all means, he can help. He can help sort through that. So if we could talk about that in January, would love to hear more about your thoughts.
Sure, I certainly would encourage continuing the discourse to lead to a direction, more direction in trying to pioneer in that area, for sure. We'll pick up the conversation next year.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Lorenzo. I know we're running short on time, and Ryan would like to share a resource with the group. So, Ryan, if you would like to go ahead.
Yes. As Terry know, and some other people on the call may know, I did a workshop during the BDPA conference earlier this year in the summer. And one of the things I promised the students that I'm a little bit late on delivering is a follow-up to the workshop. The workshop covered using the Python programming language to retrieve data from the census to analyze the data for further analysis. And with that being said, the follow-up workshop will be done sometime in the early part of next year on a weekend, on a Saturday. So if anybody are interested in, if there's anyone on the call that's interested in not only learning Python, but also learning how to use Python to get data from the United States Census so that you can analyze it for, whatever demographic needs you have, please reach out to me via email, and I will share my email in the link in the chat so that you can respond to me if that's something you're interested in. That is learning how to program in Python and also learning how to use Python to get census data from the United States Census.
Can you give us your email address, please?
Yes, I'm doing that right now.
I mean verbally for those who are not online.
Oh, verbally, okay. The email address is rwade, RWADE, at bluegranite, BLUEGRANITE.com. And then the subject just mentioned that you want to learn Python.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that, Ryan. Here in this last minute, again, want to say thank you to Terry for sharing your thoughts on 2020 with us. Thank you to all of you for joining today's Tech Talk, as well as those who have been joining us throughout the year. If you're in the app and can see the slide, you see we've made a quick highlight of all the speakers we had this year and their different topics. A wide range was covered this year, and we hope to make it bigger and better next year. So thank you to all the speakers we had. Thank you to all of you as listeners. And we will be sharing with you some changes coming for 2021, so stay tuned. If nothing else,
before you close out, Chicago would like to make 2 statements. Chicago President John Coleman, I want to make sure we see all of you at the National Holiday Party on the 16th. Make sure you register from the calendar on the national calendar. And Chicago chapter would also like to invite you to our holiday party on the 17th. You can go to our Facebook group and click the link and register. We'd hope to see you on the 17th in Chicago. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that, John. Okay. Terry, any last comments for you as we close?
Well, 2 things. Thank you, Devin. Excellent job as always. And to everyone, we hope and pray that you all stay safe. COVID is still amongst us, and I suggest to give it the respect that it is asking for. But I long for the time when we can meet in person yet again in a safe manner and grow together. So happy holidays, everyone, and look forward to engaging with you all next year.
And happy birthday to you, Terry.
Thank you, sir.
All right, everyone. Happy holidays. Stay safe. We will talk to you all in 2021.
Yep, everyone have
Happy holidays.
Christmas. Happy